Hey folks. So we're learning about secondary dominants, and what I want to do is teach you a little bit about part writing strategies when resolving a secondary dominant to the chord it tonicizes. The good news is that the principles we've already learned using diatonic 5/7 chords apply the same way to secondary dominants. We just have to think in the key of the chord that we're tonicizing for a moment. Let me show you how this works. Okay, so the first thing to know, there are three different ways you can resolve a 5/7 to its chord of resolution. In this case, we're talking about secondary dominants, 5/7 of X, tonicizing X, X being any major or minor diatonic chord in the key. The three ways you can resolve a 5/7 is complete to complete, incomplete seventh to complete triad, or complete seventh chord to incomplete triad. What I'm going to do is show you how you could do each of these three types of resolutions for one single problem. This is the first problem in the assignment I am going to have you do, where you spell a secondary dominant, and then you resolve it to the chord it tonicizes to using principles of good part writing. So to start, we're going to do complete seventh to complete triad. This is the type of resolution where the leading tone must be placed in an inner voice, either the alto or tenor, and it is frustrated. This is the only way to have a complete 5/7 chord go to a complete triad of resolution. Let me show you how this works in the key of D major for the 5/7 of 5 going to 5. We begin with our key signature of the tonic key. And for a moment now, we disregard the tonic key of D major and instead think of the key of resolution, which is the 5 chord. In the key of D, the 5 chord has the root of A. So we are going to tonicize A. So we need to now find the 5/7 of A, the root of which is E. I'm going ahead and putting that in my bass voice. And since I know it goes to a root position A chord, I go ahead and put that in the bass. And I'm showing the bass by using stems down in the bass clef. Okay, at this stage, after I've got my bass motion from E to A determined here and shown with the stems going down, I need to determine the other 3 notes in the 5/7 of 5 chord. I'm just going to spell those out so I don't forget them. A major minor 7th chord with E as the root is going to be E, G sharp, B, D. And I need to remember, if I want to go from complete 7th to complete triad, I have to put that leading tone in one of the inner parts, either the alto or the tenor, to frustrate it so that I can have both a complete 7th chord and a complete triad. I'm going to go ahead and put that G sharp in the tenor part. And instead of having that secondary leading tone G sharp go up to A, the temporary tonicized note, I'm going to frustrate it to the 5th of the chord of resolution, which in this case is E. I am missing my other 2 notes in the 5/7 of 5, B and D, or the 5th and chordal 7th respectively. I'm going to put the chordal 7th in the alto part, and I'm going to put the 5th in the soprano. Why? I like how that chord sounds in this voicing. Notice this is a well-voiced chord because I don't have anything larger than an octave between any of the adjacent upper parts. Now, to resolve the remaining notes, I always go to that chordal 7th because it always resolves down by step. So that is the D in the 5-7-5 chord, and we resolve it down by step to C sharp. And then what is left? We need to have two roots, 1/3, 1/5 for the chord of resolution because it's a root position triad that is complete. That means we will double the A, the root of the chord, and put that in the soprano. Listen to this resolution. Sounds pretty good to me. Now, if you're a tenor, you probably didn't like singing that frustrated leading tone. Most tenors and altos don't like doing it, but we do it from time to time because composers want to have complete chords. Well, we do have two other possibilities in the case we want to go incomplete to complete or complete to incomplete, and that will allow us to have a leading tone that resolves up by step. So I'm going to show you now how you could resolve this same progression using an incomplete seventh, but going now to a complete triad. Once again, we start by writing the key signature of the overall tonic key, D major, which is 2 sharps. I temporarily disregard that and then go through the process again. Now, we already know what our 5 chord is, and we know we want it to be complete. So why don't we just use the same voicing that we used before? Working backwards, if I want to have an incomplete 5-7-5 going to the complete triad, that means I'm going to need 2 E's, 1 G sharp, 1 D. We omit the B when we have an incomplete seventh, omitting the 5th. Okay, so we know that the bass needs to stay the same, right? E needs to go to A. And that takes care of one of our roots of the chord. Now we still need another E. I propose we put it in the tenor part. This will allow keeping a common tone connection between the 5-7-5 to the 5, which is always a good choice. E stays on E in the tenor. All right. Well, we know the chordal seventh, D, has to resolve down by step to C sharp, so we're going to keep the alto the same. And then we're left with the leading tone. And it will work nicely in the soprano part, resolving up by step to the temporary tonicized note A. Let's listen to this resolution. Works really, really well. So this is the example of the incomplete 5-7-5 going to a complete 5 chord. I've got just one more resolution to show you. And this is to demonstrate how we would go from a complete 5-7-5 to the incomplete 5 triad. As with the other two resolutions, I start with my key signature of the home key, D major. And in this case, since I know the chord of resolution is going to look different, I want an incomplete chord of resolution and a complete 5-7-5. I'm going to take the version of the complete 5-7-5 I did in the first example. Again, this is a well-voiced 7th chord with root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th. It's complete. I'm not omitting the 5th, and I've got one of each of the members of the chord. Now, when we're resolving a complete 5-7-5 to an incomplete 5 chord, what we will do is this. Bass moves as it does in all of the resolutions. Chordal 7th goes down by step because, again, we never change that. And I will keep the soprano resolution to A. The difference is in the tenor, or the inner part that has the secondary leading tone. Instead of frustrating it like I did in the first example, this time I'm actually resolving it up by step in a satisfying way that will make every tenor very happy. Let's listen to what this resolution sounds like. So there you go. Those are the 3 different ways you can resolve a secondary dominant that's in root position to its root position chord of resolution. Just keep in mind that when you do the problems where the 5-7 of 5 or the 5-7 of whatever is inverted, you will always want to use a complete 7th chord, meaning always have 1 root, 1/3, 1/5, 1/7, and it will always go to a complete triad with 2 roots, 1/3, 1/5. All right, so we only have these options when we are part writing with root position secondary dominants.